Hello students and welcome back to the classroom. I have a question for you today.
Oh, whoops. Sorry everybody. That was a little mishap. Alright, we're going to get started shortly. I just wanted to run that test really quick. There is going to be like a little bit of a echo and some weirdness going on, but I think I have it figured out pretty much. And Charles is here once again. So is PandaCraft Gaming. Charles, let's see here, came to our Friday live stream. And let's see here. Hold on a second. Just give me a second here to get organized. We will get started. It's 8 o'clock now. We'll probably get started at around 8:02, so stick around. We'll get started very shortly. Let me just get everything in order here so we have a smooth transition, or a smooth lesson. Okay, here we go. Okay, the color on this camera is actually looking pretty good. I think I have it kind of figured out now. Before the white balance was all out, I'm not exactly sure what happened too. I messed around with some settings and now it looks a lot better on this camera. So I'm actually going to do the intro from this camera today because I didn't pre-record one. But this is a shorter lesson, so I think it's appropriate. Okay, let me take a look at what we were talking about on Friday really quick, because I wasn't able to incorporate all the things we talked about, but so I will address them separately. So, Charles, remind me, once I finish the main part of the lesson, remind me what we talked about or what you wanted me to cover on Friday, and then I'll cover that as like another section after the live stream is over. Okay. Let's see here. Let me say hello to everybody. PandaCraft, Charles is here. Rich is here once again. Oh, welcome, Rich. Welcome back to the live stream. Let's see, Michiko. How long will it take before I mastered reading piano sheets? It could take a few weeks to a few months. Some people can get it done in a couple of days, but to get really good and master them, it can take a while. Let me shoot you over a link really quick. Actually, if you type into YouTube your first, what is it? Let me look it up for you. I'll tell you what to do. So we're on the correct page. Glad to have everybody with us. If you don't know, I'm Tim from Lessons on the Web, and we have our normal live stream that we have Fridays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope everybody's having a great day. Feel free to share in the comments. Always love it. And if not, if you want to sit back and relax, that's cool with me too. But if you go to YouTube, let me change this for us. Yeah, I can post Friday's stream. I have it privated right now. I need to go through and edit it a bit, and we'll go from there. But actually, we had I didn't tell you, we had the Q&A on Friday, and we're actually having the real lesson today on how to achieve breakthroughs in your piano practice. I really wanted just some extra feedback on the community for the lesson today, and I didn't have it quite ready in time as well. I didn't want to put something, that only had like a couple of bullet points on it. It wouldn't be really that good of a guide. So we'll get started here. Let me change us to all content here. And let's see. So you want to... If you type in how to read music notes in one easy lesson, or I just typed in note reading one lesson, I really recommend you check that out if you are just getting into reading music. If you are kind of past that, another one I recommend is how to read music faster, which is a really, really good lesson. The technique I talk about in this lesson, it looks like this. Let me scroll down and over here. The technique I talk about in this lesson is very, very useful in reading music faster. So if you're looking to master reading music, I really highly recommend you check that out. Okay, let me get to the intro. I don't remember what all the numbers are. Okay. Okay, interesting. I'll have to mess with that a little bit later, but I can still click on it. I think that works pretty well. All right, I hope everybody's having a great... Oh, let's see. Okay, answer the question. Just make sure I got to everybody's question. All right, so let me do the intro. Hello, students, and welcome back to the classroom. Tim here, back from Lessons on the Web, and I have another great lesson for you today. Today, I'm going to give you some tips on how to achieve a breakthrough when playing the piano. And what I mean by that is you will practice piano and learn piano, and you'll only get so far, and you'll find that the amount of progress you've made has kind of stalled a bit, or you're not making as much progress as you were, and you may be interested in how to overcome that so you overcome that plateau and you make lots and lots of progress in your piano studies. So that's what we're talking about today, and we're going to get right on to it. Okay, let me know if anything is out of sync or out of order, or if it looks really weird or anything. Okay, here we go. Why. Okay, the very first topic we're talking about tonight is increasing practice time. This is by far probably the most obvious one. You may be thinking, well, duh. But let me give you a little bit more information on this. So what I recommend in general for a beginner is, if you're just starting out, 15 minutes is okay. But for a beginner, I recommend half an hour as close to 7 days a week as possible. Now, if you want to get to the next level, then put in an hour every day, or as close to every day as you can, and you will achieve greater results. Very, common sense kind of thing, but, it's something that a lot of people struggle with because they have a limited amount of time to spend on the piano each day. So try to fit in more time. I'll have some other recommendations for you here in a minute. What I recommend for intermediate players is probably, I would say, at least an hour to 2 hours, and then for advanced, 2 hours to 4 hours, and for professionals, up to 8 hours a day. I'm not even kidding. If you're looking to become a concert level pianist, I really recommend you do that. Now, let's be honest and let's be realistic here. Say you have work, you have school, you have, band practice, you have soccer, all kinds of things going on in your life, and you just can't sit down with the piano an hour at a time or 2 hours at a time. And I can certainly understand not having 8 hours in your day to practice. I certainly don't have that much time. So how can you become better if you just don't have that amount of time to spend all at once? Well, what I did this in high school when I was getting ready to, take my exam to get into college, where I didn't really have enough time to spend on it all at once. But what I would do is I would fit in like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 3 to 4 times a day, maybe even more often than that, sometimes even a half hour at a time, 3 to 4 times a day. And I actually made a lot of practice, a surprising amount of progress just doing that simple thing and breaking up the practice sessions into smaller ones and getting any time I could in. Like I mentioned in a lot of lessons before, it's a lot better to practice a little bit over a longer period of time than it is to practice a lot, just 1 day a week or something like that. So if you can increase the frequency in which you practice, that is also highly recommended. So, you might want to fit it in before work, before school, it's 15, 20 minutes, maybe half hour. Then when you come home, and then maybe, in the evening at some time. And then you'd be surprised that you can really, double up and triple up your practice time if you're smart about it and you are able to do it. You can do that just by splitting them up into smaller portions. Hey, Barbara says she's been on a plateau for over 50 years. Sorry to hear that, Barbara, but welcome to the live stream. Barbara is a regular, just like Rich And Charles now has attended at least to the second here. Okay, any questions so far? If you have any questions while I'm doing the live stream, just leave them. I might get to them right away, or I might wait until the end. So if I don't get to your question, don't worry. Although if it does go a pretty long time without me answering your question, I answer everybody else's question around, please let me know so I can come back to that, because I don't want to miss your question, if you are really in need of the answer. What happened here?
Hello,
Oops.
student.
Okay, let's see here. All right, we're going to do the second part. I'm looking for a better way to do these transitions so I don't have to type them in the middle, but I'm still working things out. That's part of the whole process. And then don't worry, because as we get further and further through this thing, I will give you more and more advice that might not be, so commonplace. All right. Practice time count. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, second one on this list is make your practice time count. It's very, very important. So if you're spending the correct amount of time practicing and you're noodling around, and by noodling, what I really mean by that is, let me show you what I mean. Just give me a second here. So what I mean by noodling is really just playing around on the piano aimlessly, playing common songs that you like to play. And don't get me wrong, that should be a part of your piano practice, but you need to achieve focus. So if I'm just kind of like, oh, that sounds cool, and noodling around, if I spend too much time in my practice time doing that, I'm not going to achieve any real meaningful results. However, the practice of just improvising and, messing around on the piano you can learn a lot from that. So maybe limit, break down what, your practice schedule and what you need to practice, and maybe like put in a sliver of time, maybe 10 minutes of, just experimentation. Experimentation is good, but you don't want to lose your focus. What you do want to do is you want to have a warm-up. So every time you practice, or almost every time, you're going to start with a warm-up. I recommend, blazing through your scales, or crawling through them if you're just learning them. And play through every scale you know. I'm not going to do them all, just kind of showing you how I would do it. I'm going to make a mistake here on purpose. Now, it fell apart on me, so what do? Well, I have to fix it, right? So while you're doing your warm-up, you still want to pay attention to the mistakes you're making and correcting them. So what I recommend is learning your scales. Even if you know all your scales already, all your major, harmonic minor, melodic minor, or natural minor, you want to play through pretty much all of them most times when you practice, and you do want to correct the mistakes with them. Even though you know your scales really well, it really helps to play them first, because first of all, it gets your hands warmed up. It's like when you do exercises, you do stretches first, right? At least I hope so. It helps prevent injury. It helps you actually get better exercise. You have, more range of movement and things like that. So scales actually kind of serves as that purpose. That's like your exercise warm up. You don't want to skimp out on scales. Arpeggios, the same thing. Arpeggios are great because they really help you, cross with fingers. I mean, the scales do that as well, but they really help you skip notes up and down. You're going to see that in a lot of the songs you play. So you want to, practice those as part of your regular practice routine. After your warm-up, what I recommend you do is pick 2 piano pieces you want to really get good at that challenge you a little bit. They're just right outside your current limit, but they're not so far outside that it's really frustrating and you just can't do it. If you're a beginner, do not try to play Moonlight Sonata if you are just starting out in your first few weeks. As disheartening as that may be to you, you want to start out with easier songs and work your way up to the more difficult ones. But as I was saying, you want to pick 2 songs that challenge you, that are just right outside of your reach of your current playing level, and you want to focus on those. And you want to, before you start on the piece, kind of have an objective in mind. You always want to have objectives in mind when you practice, otherwise you're going to be aiming around, wandering around aimlessly. So say I'm learning Fur Elise, right? And I'm just learning it for the first time. Obviously, I'm going to start at the beginning. But say I know the entire thing, and I really need to work on this section. And I messed up a little bit there. I would really make a point like, okay, during this practice session, my goal is to correct the measure or few measures that were giving me trouble. Do not just start from the beginning all the time. I mention this in almost every lesson I do because it is really, really that important. You want to be objective. You want to start from problem areas and work those out, and have a goals that you can actually tangibly meet every practice session. I think that's what a lot of people make a mistake with, is they sit down and practice piano and they play through their songs, but they don't really have a goal of what they want to get accomplished with the song. So they're just kind of like in this state of where, yeah, they're probably getting better at playing the song, but they're not really working out the fine details, which is really what makes music go from sounding okay to sounding great to sounding amazing, is working out the little details like the tempo and correcting mistakes, getting in those staccatos and legatos in there. Very, very important stuff. So remember that not only do you need to increase your practice time, which is common sense, you need to make every bit of your practice count. And to do that, you need to be very objective in what you want to accomplish each time you sit down. Same thing with scales. If you're playing through your scales and you notice E flat major is always a problem, well, make a goal for that practice session to really work out E flat major. Now, what may happen is you may spend all your time, not all your time, but a lot of time on that. You may be saying, well, I'm running out of time to practice. I don't have time to play through all my other scales. That's fine. So long as you accomplish something during your warm-up, during your playing of your pieces, you're doing A-okay. Another thing I recommend adding to your practice regimen is an easier song that you enjoy to play, which is actually going to kind of go into our next segment here, which we'll go to right now. Okay, after studying the theories, what should I study next? How long should I allot my time each day in practicing piano? So, Michiko, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, you want to, like I said, half an hour a day if you're a beginner. If you want to get better and become like an intermediate student, like an hour, it probably isn't a bad idea. And then, but if you're really serious about it, I would recommend getting over an hour. Maybe get 2 hours, 3 hours, up to 4 hours, unless you really want to be a professional. So it's really up to you and how far you want to go. Honestly, no matter where you are, if you increase your practice time combined with what we just talked about, making your practice time count and making objectives and things you want to accomplish, that's actually more important than increasing your practice time, believe it or not. Don't get me wrong, you want to do both at the same time to get the maximum amount out of it, but making the most out of the time you spend and being efficient is so, so important and so, so overlooked in pretty much everything that people do in life. Let's see here. Let's get to the next thing. All right, how's everybody doing? So if you have any questions so far, let me know. If not, totally fine. If you want me to elaborate on anything I've talked about so far, also let me know. Because when we share together and learn together, I think we learn a lot more. Okay, I need to focus on typing this because it's not going so well. Oh, that's why. Okay. Oops. And Rich, I'll answer your question here in a minute about how to play poco crescendo. Okay. Okay, the next big topic is staying inspired. And what do I mean by that, and how do you do it? Well, how you do it is you listen to piano pieces of people you respect or songs that you really like. So you listen to recordings, watch maybe videos of people playing. Whatever really got you in front of the piano in the first place, you really want to sit down and think about that. And outside of your practice time, or maybe even every once in a while, if say you're feeling burnout in your practice, maybe take a practice session and just sit in front of a computer, or with your iPod or something like that, or your CD player if people still use them, and listen to your favorite music and watch performing artists practice and play your music. And in my case, I know always for me that inspired me to continue going. See somebody I really respect. If there's a teacher you really respect, go talk to them. Whatever, like I said, whatever gets your brain going and got you started playing piano in the first place, you want to embrace that and fall into it every once in a while. Like I said, especially if you're feeling frustrated, feel like you're putting in hours of practice a day, not getting much, and you just kind of need a break, but you also don't want to get lazy and you want to spend your time doing something useful, then spend some time getting in touch with what inspired you to begin with. Okay, just a couple of more points here, everybody. Okay, we are... Okay, the next point is get a private teacher. Now, I understand not all of us can get access to one of these, but you want to get in touch with a teacher one way or another. Maybe one works at your school or something. Some way that you can get in touch with them and get some advice from them, or maybe even some feedback from them. But if you can afford regular piano lessons every single week with an instructor 101, it's very, very helpful in monitoring progress and getting feedback and getting really, really important advice, especially from, obviously you want a good teacher if you're paying all that money for private lessons. If they're a good teacher, they will continue throughout the weeks, days, weeks, and years to give you some insights and advice based on their practice experience and their playing experience, as well as whatever they learned in the music school they went to. I went to Westchester University School of Music, so a lot of what you experience on this channel and over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, is all related to that, and it's all the same kind of music education that was passed along to me. I try to make it as authentic as possible. The same stuff you would learn in a piano class or in private lessons, you would learn, online. Now, you may be saying, well, didn't you just say that it's useful to have a private teacher, even though we're learning the same stuff? Well, yes. Like I said, the thing that's missing with online learning is that, sure, you can email me a recording and I can kind of give you an idea on, where you should go from there. But if you're really serious about getting better at piano, you really need regular lessons every week if you can afford it, or if you can get to that level and you have it available to you. I understand we live in countries, or we don't have the money, or things happen. Maybe we're 15 years old and we just don't have money for lessons. That's totally understandable. But if you're looking to get to that next level, consider trying to figure out how to get private lessons going with a teacher every week, because they will keep you going a lot of times. Also, having to prepare for the lesson each week will keep you practicing and keep you motivated. So another great thing about getting a private teacher, you can learn a lot of concepts online. I feel like, I've heard tons of times from teachers, oh, you can't learn online. That isn't true at all. You can learn quite a lot online. You can learn all the same stuff pretty much. But like I said, there's an added element that you get from having a private lesson teacher, especially, if you're making mistakes and you need, corrections with your hands and things like that. The private lessons can go a long, long way in helping you achieve that. So consider that if you are looking to get to that next level. All right, let's talk about the last topic in our lesson here. Okay, gonna answer. Oh, how long should you take time each day to practice piano? So I'm gonna go over this again real quick for you. So you want to spend an hour if you're like an intermediate student, 2 hours if you're looking to get more advanced, 4 hours, anywhere between 2 and 4 hours for an advanced student. Now, if you're looking to be a concert level pianist, then you want to be getting like 4 to 8 hours, probably 8 hours if you're really going for the big time and practicing every day and being very, very serious about it. But I'd say for most of us, I'd spend an hour or between an hour and 2 hours if you are starting to move from an intermediate student and you're trying to kind of break through and get better. So that's what I would recommend. Okay, let's get to the last point here. Rich has a great question. Actually, I'm going to add that into the point we just did. So Rich asks, how do you know you're choosing the right piano teacher? Great question. One thing you want to check out is, does that teacher have a website? A lot of teachers have websites, but the reason you want to make sure they have a website is, first of all, it kind of tells you they're at least established enough to have a website. Now, anybody can make a website, but you can tell which teachers put any kind of time or if their website has been around for a while. What you want to look for on the website, though, which is the main point of this, is you want to look for testimonials. You want to see, like, are the testimonials, video testimonials are probably the best, but, are the written ones, do they make sense? Do they look like they were all written by the same person, or do they look like, they were actually written by the different people the person teaches? You want to look for, I think this is very important, there are some good teachers out there that don't have one of these, but I think Piano TV, I think she told me, I'm not sure. I did talk to her on Twitter about it briefly, whether she had a music degree or not. But you want to look for whether the teacher has a music degree from a certified university or, something accredited where, it's a real university, a conservatory. If you can find a teacher that went to a conservatory and graduated from conservatory, that is usually a pretty good teacher. Now, not always, and I'll explain why in a second. So there's basically two halves to it. The first half is qualifications. Do they have the reviews and testimonials? Do they have the background? Do they have the degree or whatever? I actually have a music degree. Now, the other half of it is, do they have the personality to be a teacher? I know a lot of people who are extremely talented people. They can play piano excellent, and learn piano great on their own and things like that. But when it comes to explaining things to others, they just can't communicate well the ideas that are in their head to another student, or maybe they lack patience, or maybe they just make you feel bad. I've had teachers that do that. Not so much to me, but I've heard stories from others where, it's just a personality mismatch. Maybe the teacher isn't the best for teaching. Maybe they're more of a performer, or maybe they just don't get along with you. I mean, it's possible. I mean, the world's full of relationships. You think about everybody you know. You have people that are your friends, people that you feel indifferent about, and people that just rub you the wrong way. You're going to find the same thing with teachers sometimes, although I find most music teachers, you can work with them pretty well. But there are people out there that are very brilliant and can, sure, do things on their own and practice and play beautifully, but they can't explain things in a clear way to anybody else. That's the other half. Unfortunately, to discover that half, you have to begin taking lessons from that teacher. So the qualifications you can usually find out ahead of time. Obviously, another great way of finding out what their qualifications are is to call and ask them or email them. But like I said, if they can show you some kind of proof, where they can show you a picture of their degree or something, or their testimonials. That would be enormously helpful. And then also, if you look at the testimonials, you can also kind of get a little feel for what their personality is like. If you see a pattern in the positive things that people say, then you can kind of rest assured that you'll probably experience the same thing with that teacher. So 2 parts to go real quick again: qualifications, and then the second part is their personality. Do they have the personality, patience, what have you, friendliness, to be a teacher in the first place? Great question, though. Okay, and then Rich, let me know if you need to elaborate on that. That was a great question. Rich says, I like practicing for 2 hours. It seems like they have a sufficient amount of time for me. I would say so, Rich. So I've heard, a couple of recordings. Feel free to send me another recording here. It's been a while. I'd like to check it out and see, how you've progressed. But 2 hours probably for you, I think, would be great, because I would say that you're past the beginner point. You're moving into the intermediate, maybe even starting to get into that advanced area, just a touch. So I would say 2 hours is probably where you want to be. And honestly, I assume you work and you have a life and, lots of things going on. So, 2 hours is probably realistic. You also want to be realistic, honestly, unless you really want to become a concert level pianist. If you want to get enjoyment out of it, but still want to become better, because if you become better, a lot of students, when they start out, don't understand this because they don't want to practice. But the better you get, like especially the better sight reader you are, being able to pick up a piece of music from sight, the more enjoyable piano will get generally. You'll have times where you'll kind of fall out of love with it. That is extremely normal. I want to tell everybody that right now. So even me, sometimes I just don't feel like playing piano that day. Or, even that week, I'll just feel like, oh man, I'm just not feeling it. Not feeling it this week. But you want to pick up yourself. You don't want to give up on it completely. And it is very common to kind of waver in your interest. But what a lot of students don't understand is that if you put more effort forward in general, you will get more out of it. And I'd say 2 hours is probably pretty good. Okay, Michiko says if they don't have a website, it means that... Were you going to say something else? It looks like your your comment was cut off there a little bit. Okay, let's see here. And then the last point, which is pretty important. Okay, one more transition here, everybody. Okay, the last point here that a lot of people overlook is learn more music theory. Now, it's not just music theory. You want to become proficient at the following things: music theory, sight reading, ear training. They all kind of fall under music theory in a way. But music theory, ear training, sight reading, and then I guess that's it. Those 3 things you really want to spend time on. The music theory, what will happen is a lot of students will think that they either have to learn music theory or learn piano. But no, to become a really good piano player, you do have to understand a pretty decent amount of music theory. Sure, you might not have to know as much as a composition student or something like that, but you really should have a better idea on what major and minor chords look and sound like, what inversions look and sound like, what intervals are, and how to use them to read music faster. All sorts of things, what the various articulations are, the staccato, accents, things like that. You want to spend time learning about these things because obviously they will appear in your music, but it gives you such an extra level, extra dimension to think of music about, because not only are you playing just notes, you're now looking at them as groups of chords, maybe scales, all sorts of things that you can learn in music theory. So you can start to visualize and conceptualize music in a much more profound way, and you'll actually be able to pick up music faster and better than before. So don't skip out on music theory. The second part of it was, ear training. Ear training is being able to hear, is that chord a major or a minor chord? Well, it's major. It sounds bright and happy. Is that one a major or minor chord? That's a minor chord because it sounds sad. And being able to hear the differences between not only chords but intervals and things will give you more information to go by. It's combined, same thing as music theory, same benefits. You will actually be able to hear your mistakes a lot better, and you will also have a better understanding of what the song's supposed to sound like. You'll understand that a song in A minor isn't gonna sound bright and happy most of the time. It can have major chords in it, which could make it do that temporarily, but you will have a better idea on what's happening. I think that's pretty much sums up what this last point is about. Sight reading is another great one. It's a little bit outside, more on the piano side of things. Sight reading is being able to play a piece of music for the first time. Sight reading is such an invaluable tool because the faster you can read music for the first time, especially if you can do it hands together the first time, even if you play it slow, obviously when you're doing sight reading, you want to play it a little on the slow side or at least as fast as you can, you'll be able to learn music a lot faster. So how do you get better at sight reading? Well, sight reading every day. So you want to find a lesson book or a church hymnal or something with music in it that you can read through fairly easily, and you want to read through at least one example or one song or one passage every single day. You want to do this for months, years, and decades at a time, and then you will become a really good sight reader. And hey, guess what? That song that took you 4 weeks to learn before might only take you 4 days. It might only take you 4 hours. It could maybe even take you 4 minutes if you get that good at sight reading. So that's how profound the effects of being a good sight reader are. Okay, I think that kind of does it. Augmented 6 chords making my head hurt. Hold on a second. Okay, so that does it for our lesson today. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going anywhere. At least if you're watching this in the live stream, can answer some questions here. So I want to know in the comments, what are some of the questions you have about what we talked about today? What do you think are some of the things maybe I left out that helped you achieve a breakthrough in your piano playing? What questions do you have about, the topics that we talked about practice time, about staying inspired, about getting a private teacher? Leave them in the comments, because I feel like when we all share and learn together, we all learn a lot more. I can't tell you how many times I've seriously looked at the comments, seen a comment that just kind of really gets me thinking in a different way, and I really have thought about this music subject in a way I hadn't before. I'm the teacher, and I get that out of reading the comments, so I imagine that the students get a lot out of it as well. And if you see somebody else's question and you know the answer to, or you can at least provide some insight, please do so. Always welcome to become a bigger part of the community, which is what we do here. We learn together. Learn with us live is what the live stream is now called. So we come together and learn together. All right, so this has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Look out for more great lessons, and I'll talk to you in the next lesson. All right, so I'm going to stick around. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to address some of the questions we hear. Okay, here, I will, during the Q&A, that's right. So I will tackle Charles's question. I have to go up. David, don't worry, I'm hanging around a bit. You caught the end of the main part of the lesson, but I am sticking around. Okay, let's see. Do you... what if they don't have a website? Well, I mean, it's okay if they don't have a website. I wouldn't totally scratch them off your list. A website's just useful because you can get information like testimonials and things. Or a Facebook page is also good. If it also kind of tells you if the teacher's in touch with technology, which is important to me. It might not be as important to you. It's not, completely related to piano in every way. But certainly if you know how to use technology, you can do some fancy things with teaching music. But if you can, so long as you have a phone number for that teacher and you can call them and kind of get a feel for what they're like, if they could give you like a free first lesson, that would be amazing. So you can kind of figure out what they're all about. But if they don't have a website, it doesn't mean that they're absolutely, a no-go. But a website does kind of tell, if it has the right information on it, does tell you if they are established. But if they don't have one, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not. Especially older teachers. A lot of older teachers do not understand the importance of having a website, thus, or they don't have the technical skills and they just don't have one. So don't shy away from somebody if they don't have one of those. Okay, do you have any recommendations for teachers in New York area? Unfortunately, I don't. Any contacts you may know. Not for New York. What if you have? But Rich, if you have a way you can position your iPad or your I'm not sure what device you use, or your laptop, and you can look at the keyboard, I would be willing to give you some Skype lessons, especially over the summer, because I always have, my local students are on vacation and things, so I usually have a bit more time to spend in the summer. So I will open up private lessons for a bit, and if you could have it so where I could see your hands playing, even if it's from an angle from behind, that would be okay. Me being able to hear it would be the best thing. So that would still give you a lot of the benefits of the private lessons, and that I'd be able to see what you're doing in real time over Skype, and I'd be able to say, okay, hey, in that measure, you should have played A flat instead of A, and your hands aren't curved enough. And I could also, we can go over each week what you've been practicing, and I can tell you what your progress has been. So you get all the same levels of benefits from that. If you could find one in the New York area, that would also be great. But I would be willing to do a few Skype lessons with you to get you started for sure. But even if you have like a decent, I don't know, just a device around your computer so I can hear what's going on, that would work out too. But unfortunately, I don't know anybody in the New York area. I enjoyed learning music theory, but it's getting difficult now. I agree. All that stuff can make your head hurt. What's the benefit of a church hymnal? Great question. So church hymnal for sight reading, what church hymnals do is they have a very specific way of the notes move against one another. So what it'll be is it'll be like, let me see what I got here because I kind of have this down. Oh, let me show you. Okay, so like a church hymnal, a lot of it's chords. But what'll happen is you'll have chords. And I just improv that. I know that didn't sound like a church hymnal. But what it happens is it's just chord to chord a lot of times. But there are notes that move in between chords. This is really useful in obviously getting used to playing songs with proper voice leading. But it's also useful because they add melodic lines on top or in the middle. So you really have to focus on moving different parts of your hands different ways. They're also relatively easy. I mean, it's definitely not the first sight reading book I would get. But since you've been practicing sight reading for a while, I think you could do it. I don't have mine with me, at least not to where I could grab right away. But there are a lot of benefits in doing them, mainly because it trains you to look at harmonies and be able to play from chord to chord that way. Okay. Hey yo, David says, caught the end of the lesson. Like I said, we're going to continue a little bit longer. I wish hymnals had finger numbers. Yeah, that's the only thing, is that they do not. During the Q&A, I asked if you would tackle scales and how they relate to playing music, specifically the piano. The thing about scales I find unclear is what they are and what purpose they serve. Okay, I can answer that for sure. Most of the definitions I've come across are to a degree convoluted. Could you explain what scales are and how they apply to music in a practical sense? Yes. Oh, my next live stream is going to be on Friday, next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So whatever 43 minutes ago was for you, that's when we'll meet on Friday. I actually think I'm going to sneak one in on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That one's not in concrete, though. We'll definitely meet on Friday, though. Great question. All right, so let me answer this question about scale. So the first thing I'm going to say is, oh, let me make sure I got this correct. Okay. There we go. Okie doke. So here we go. So scales. What is a scale? That's the first thing I'm going to talk about. So in music, there are these things called keys, and every song has a key that it uses. So you may have heard the names of these keys before: C major, G major, D major, and really what they're for is they tell you what sharps or flats exist in that song. A song can really only have sharps in its key signature or flats. You won't see sharps and flats in the key signature. So, there's the key of C, the key of G, the key of D, things like that, with C having no sharps, no flats, G having one sharp, and D having two sharps in the song. So that's what a key tells you. And a key signature in the beginning of the song tells you what the sharps and flats are by reading the key signature. Now, how does that apply to a scale? Well, a scale, for every key, there's a scale. So for C major, there's a C major scale. For the key of C minor, there's a C minor scale. For the key of G major, there's a G major scale. I think you get the idea by now. So it's very related to the key. What a scale is, say I'm in C major, 0 sharps, 0 flats. I'm going to start on C and end on C. That's how a scale works. You're going to start and end on the note of whatever key you're in. Now, what a scale is used for, here's the main point, is that it is used to lay out all of the notes that exist within a key in a row, in alphabetical order, starting from whatever note you started on, keeping in mind that once you get to G, it repeats to A. So it's going to go from C to the next C and all the white keys in between, since the key of C has no sharps, no flats. No, you don't have to worry about any of those. So these notes, played one at a time, is the C major scale. And it tells you what notes exist in C major, all put in order. So if I'm playing something in C major, you want to learn the C major scale first, because it helps you visualize what notes you're going to be playing. I mean, it's pretty obvious with C major because, like I said, you're not playing any of those. Let's use G major. Say I'm learning a piece in G major. And sure, I look at the key signature, it says 1 sharp, F sharp. But what does that really mean? How am I going to visualize that on the keyboard? Well, you start on G. That's the rule for scales. You end on G. And you're going to play all the notes in between, except by definition, the key of G has an F sharp in it. So once I get up to the F, which is the next to last note, I'm going to replace it with an F sharp. So I'm not playing F and F sharp. I'm playing F sharp. Here's E, skipping over F. Playing F sharp in place of F. It's a replacement. So the key of G in the G major scale is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So when I go to play the song that's in the key of G major, I know that the sharp I got to look out for, is right there. Other than that, pretty much all white keys except for that. So it's just a great visualization tool in knowing what notes are laid out in a scale, in a song, or a key that a song is in. Okay, and then other than that, knowing all your scales, and here's another function of scales. So scale obviously lays out all the notes in the key, but it also, learning your scales has the following benefits. It helps you learn proper fingering technique, meaning you'll be crossing at certain times to achieve optimal fingers, because what will happen is if you use just any old fingers playing a scale, you're going to run out of fingers. But when you play it with the correct fingering, you can play up and down the keyboard more effectively. You can apply this to the actual songs you learn. So if the song has a G major scale in it, songs sometimes have an entire scale in it, you'll know exactly what fingering to use. They're also used for this other thing in terms of practicing, in that they're good for hand dexterity and keeping your hands in sync And actually, because the fingerings are slightly different between the hands, you're crossing at different times, and that's, more your brain has to grab a hold of. So it's a little bit of a workout for your brain as well. So that's the main fundamental use of what scales are, their role in music, and why, and what you get out of practicing them. All right, Charles, let me know if that cleared that up for you, if you need more clarification there. While we're here, so I'm going to show you guys something. Actually, a lot of you know about this, but if you are unfamiliar, if you like the lessons I have here on YouTube, obviously you want to check those out, especially the playlist section. But if you don't know and you're looking for more, say you're like, I'm really digging these lessons. I really like Tim's teaching style. That's me. And I really just want a lot more. I not only the lessons, but I want to learn as much about piano as possible, or even just take what I know at this current time into the next level. If you go to pianolessonsontheweb.com, so it's piano and then lessons on the web, the name of the channel here, it'll take you to my website here where I have a ton of courses that I've made, and of course you can read through them here. They have lifetime access, things like that. Let me explain what is included in a course. So if you like instructional videos here on YouTube, they're the same types of videos that you will find over there. They're not the same exact types. It's exclusive content and things like that. So I have courses for beginners, I have courses for intermediate students and advanced. So if you want to brush up on your beginner stuff, this is a great place to do it. But if you are looking to learn way more stuff than I've covered on the YouTube channel, I won't cover anytime soon, or I will probably never cover some of it, you really want to check out this. It will take you, and you'll learn a lot more about playing piano and music. But it comes with instructional videos like the ones you see here, but it also comes with playing examples, printable sheet music, like real songs to play, practice activities, and online assignments to enhance your learning. So it's instructional videos with supporting materials, which will really help you not only learn the concepts, but practice them and get a lot better at them. So you want to head over to pianolessonsontheweb.com to check that out if you haven't already. Also, one thing I want to add is if you believe in our mission here on the YouTube channel of teaching people around the world piano and music by enrolling in these courses, it also helps me keep all this going, because it does take a lot of time and money for me to keep the YouTube channel and everything going. So you will be helping out a great deal, and you also help things grow in the future. So it helps you learn and also helps me as well. So let me know if you have any questions, either in the comments or tim@lessonsontheweb.com. I'd be more than happy to help you out and answer any questions you may have. So I just wanted to let you know about that. If you like my lessons here, I think you'll really like my website over there. Okay. Oh. Okay. Can you show an example of a church hymnal? Yes. When playing in a scale, just picture the piano with only those keys. Yes. That's a good point, David. That's really great. Can I show an example of a church hymnal? Let me see. Maybe. Oh, these are our recordings. I don't want that. I'd say that this one is pretty close to what you'd see in a church hymnal. Let me make sure I got it. Oh, I got a super chat. I want to call out, let's see here, while I'm getting this loaded here for Rich, I want to make a big deal about the super chat. So Charles has left me a super chat. Thank you so much, Charles. What a super chat is, in case you're wondering, you're like, what is that about? If you go below the chat, there's like a little $sign. It's another great way to support the live streams here. If you click that, you can donate a small amount of money if you want. It's totally optional. Just want to let you know about it. And, a little chat thing will come up, and I'll make a big deal about it. if you want me to. Okay, let's see. Okay, thank you for Rich for answering Machiko's question. What country do you live in, by the way? So I know the time difference. It's Eastern Standard Time, yes. Okay, very good. Okay, let me go back here and show Rich what a church hymnal looks like. Where'd it go? I had it. Here we go. Okay, Rich, this is what a church hymnal music looks like. So you have chords split up between both hands. That's another great thing about it. And there's almost always text in the middle. So you have to get used to kind of taking the music. It's really far apart from each other and, you know, kind of reading it that way. But if you notice, it's just basically chords. It's pretty simple, right? But you notice in the second measure that they have this chord at the end of, well, I guess it's the first full measure. You have this chord, but you also have, you know, this bottom voice moving here in the left hand. So that's what I'm saying, that you'll be playing chords, but you will have to move part of your hand while you're playing the chords. So it's chords plus melody, and a lot of the chords you find in a church hymnal you will find in regular music as well. So it's very good at, you know, processing the music that's coming up. But it also, like I said, it combines melody concepts where you're, you know, playing a melody on top with chords on the bottom. I'm not using the proper counting, so let me think about here. There you go. As you can see, I'm pretty good at sight reading. I've read through a lot of these already, but they are simplistic, but they do really help, and they come in different keys, which is also helpful. You also want to be sight reading things in different keys. Let me go over here really quick to catch up on some of these comments. Okay, stream, not show, says Rich. Friday and Saturday. Friday and Sunday. We meet Friday and Sunday. For anybody that is wondering. Saturday, we very rarely have a live stream. And then I'm adding one on Wednesdays, but it's not like an every Wednesday thing yet. I'm trying to get time in my schedule to like hit a set time to do it every Wednesday. I actually also have a live stream on Facebook every now and again. So if you want to follow me on Facebook to make sure you're not missing out on that, I highly recommend that as well. All right, we're going to pack up here in a couple of minutes. You know, not this second. Don't worry. Let me know any comments or questions you had about today's lesson, if you have any more. Let me go over what we're talking about on Friday while we're here. Okay, hold on, everybody. That music doesn't have a time. Is it 2/4 or 3/4? It says XRS delivers. Great question. Well, how do I figure that out? Well, the first measure is a pickup measure. It only has one beat in it. But if you look at measure 2, if you just take one of the hands by itself, you have a half note, quarter, quarter. So it would be 2 and then 3, 4. So that suggests 4/4. Now let me see the next measure. Another half note, quarter, quarter. So that matches up. The next one, just taking up the top notes here, you have quarter, 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 quarter. So that's 4 beats there. So just by looking at a few of the measures, you can confirm that it is indeed in 4/4. Okay, so I'm going to go over what we're doing on Friday before we leave here. I typed it in wrong again. Okay, so if you go to my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, you can't see it here because I don't have it in focus. Well, not in focus, but I just don't have it in the range there. Let me do something really quick. There we go. Now we have the whole thing. Okay, so if you go to my website and you click on the community page at the top, it will take you here. And if you scroll down, we have the calendar of what we're talking about. Now, the how to play piano with better phrasing. Here's actually our lesson today, the Q&A. How to play piano with better phrasing. That we will not be having on Friday. As you notice, there's actually 2 lessons listed for Friday. One's the how to play piano with better phrasing, and one's the keyboard buying guide. The better phrasing one, I actually did as like a daytime live stream. Just look for it in the recent live streams and you'll find it. I will edit that together into like a formal lesson, but that one's actually done and out of the way. I kind of realized that this week that I had already done that for one of those streams. So that one we will not be having on Friday. We're going to be having this one next Friday called the Keyboard Buying Guide. We're going to talk about what you need to look for when purchasing a piano keyboard. I'm also going to give you a list of models that I recommend. And then I'm also going to give you links to those, and those links will be affiliate links, so it'll actually help the channel if you decide to purchase a keyboard that way. So that's what we're doing, because I get those comments a lot, and I did a live stream on it about a year ago, but I think, the live streams are a lot better now than they were a year ago. And I think I can cover a lot more in a new lesson. Friday, May 12th. Okay, this is what's happening. If you notice, there's a gap here. So we are taking off. We're having lessons next week, Friday and Sunday, our normal time. The following week, we will have off. So the beginning of May, we'll just have that week off. I may have a day live stream. In fact, I probably will, just to kind of get in touch with everybody and, see if anybody has any questions about anything. And then we will resume the following Friday with piano lesson books for adults. In terms of anything after that, I'm still coming up with ideas and kind of arranging the schedule of what we're going to be talking about into June. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm talking about June and May and things like this, and the summer. So we'll be back into the summer. Summer is always interesting because I do have more time to spend on the YouTube channel in the summer than I do right now, since everybody's not, on vacation. I mean, not everybody goes on vacation during the summer anyway, but I do have more openings in my schedule in general in the summer. So summer's always interesting because I can play around with a few more ideas. So that's what's coming up in the pipeline. You can follow us on Facebook, of course, if you want to get a little bit more information, or I also post my blog articles there. We do have blog articles on the website. Robin writes those for us. Robin's been doing a great job, by the way. I need to get in touch with Robin actually and tell her that. But if you want to check it out, there's a blog section on the website as well. And the last one we did was Think You Can't Improv, Don't Think About It. And she's a really good writer, and I find that a lot of what she writes about is on point with what we talk about. I'm pretty sure she watches the lessons we do and then makes the blog articles based on that, which makes perfect sense. So check those out if you want. And yeah, that's what's going on. So I just want to let you know about that. Again, you can go to pianolessonsontheweb.com to check out the courses that I have made here. You can also get course packs. So if you're a beginner, you can get the beginner pack at a pretty good discount, actually. Oh, I want to click on that. You can get them at a pretty good discount, $39.99 for 4 courses, I believe. They're $29.99 individually. And then, of course, you can get the lifetime or the intermediate pack, advanced pack, or you can get all the courses all in one. The intermediate and advanced pack are $99.99 because they actually have a lot more courses. I think they have 7 or 8 courses included in them instead of, just 4. So you do get a lot more out of it. They're also more involved courses, so they will take you a bit longer. So you are getting your money's worth there. Let me send everybody over a link real quick before we end the stream, just to kind of, make sure you're getting to the right place there. Okay, I think that's it. Let me double check, make sure that link's good. All right, that's good. And then in terms of what I want you to check out next, let's go over that. So say you just kind of want to hang out here on the channel. You want to, get some of the great free lessons that I talk about here on the channel. Let me link you to something, as a little like continued learning kind of thing. So let me bring up a link here. Just give me a minute. I'm not going anywhere quite yet. Oh, there's a new series that I want to tell you about. Shesk is a big fan of this series. But a lot of people are. I've had a lot of people tell me that they really like this series. So check out, I know this is a long link, but check out this playlist. And it's a series that I have called Watch Me Practice Piano, where I actually practice through real songs. And you can, and I give you tips while I'm practicing those songs. And it's really useful because it's a little different than our normal format here, where I kind of like write up a outline of what I want to talk about, and then we talk about it. This is like more of a, I'm sitting down in my own personal practice session practicing, and then I'm also like giving you some advice on walking through it. All right, any last minute questions for me? If not, I'm gonna check out. Let's see, just check the time difference between Eastern Standard Time, and I just knew that our country is 13 hours advanced to EST. It's 8:05 there right now, right? No, it is actually 9:05 right now. So you're 1 hour off. What time is it there for you right now? Yeah, Charles got it right. So it's 9:05 here for us on the East Coast. So what time is it there for you, Machiko? You might be only 12 hours, but I'm not sure which way we're counting. Basically, whatever an hour ago was for you right now, that's when we start. So if it's 10 o'clock for you right now, we'll start at 9 o'clock your time. But we should check what time you have, because I do want you to make it out for the correct time. Okay, and then anybody still remaining while we're figuring this out for Machiko, leave a like if you like the lesson. It helps other people know that this is a quality lesson that they can learn from as well. And yeah, and then I guess I'll do a little outro while we're getting some last minute information here. So just give me a second. Okay, students, I hope you had fun in the classroom today. I know I did. This was a lesson on how to achieve breakthroughs when playing the piano. If you want to learn more, check around for the other videos on the channel. Also post some links and annotations around that you can click on and learn more. So this has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Thank you so much for being a part of our classroom, and I'll check you out in the next lesson. Thank you so much. All right, I'm sticking around here for a second. Tim, please play us out. But with what? Oh, let me do something for you guys. Now this is a tidbit. Here's like a little. Now it's gonna be weird for a second because I need to erase something real quick.
Hello, students, and welcome back.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I have a little treat for you, but it's like just a little bit of a tidbit of a treat, because this is what I'm going to put out when we get to 50,000 subscribers. We're pretty close. We're like over 44,000. Oh, it's 9 o'clock for you right now. So you're 12 hours away, Machiko. And then let me see. So I'm going to put this out once we get to 50,000 subscribers, but I'm going to give you a little taste of it right now if I'm able to. I haven't prepared for this ahead of time. Oh man, hold on. Here we go. But the only problem with it is Okay, and then I need to do this. Hold on. Okay. No delay. Oh, that's okay, Machiko. No problems. Alright, so this is a recording of me playing in the senior recital. It's never good enough for you, Rich, because Rich is always telling me, where's the recording of you playing? I played this one a few weeks ago. I actually can play it better in this recording than I can right now, because this is like me at the concert level. This was in 2010 in March. So it was about 7 years ago, just about. So here we go. Here's Serenade of the Doll. Here's just a small portion of the recital. The recital where I'm playing, I think I'm playing for about 24 minutes, it looks like. So I'll post the entire thing once we get to 50,000 subscribers as like a celebration. And then we're going to have like a really nice celebration live stream as well. Because 50,000 I think is a pretty good milestone. All right, here we go. Okay, there's was. There's actually a lot more than that. But I'm not going to play it now. So that was just a little, I don't know, a little tidbit of what you can expect, a little taste of what you can expect at 50,000 subscribers. So once we get to 50,000, I estimate maybe a month or two, sometime in the summer we'll hit it, and I will release the entire thing for everybody to watch. And like I said, we're going to have a cool little celebration for 50,000, since I think 50,000 is pretty good, and I've actually neglected to put one out for 10,000, 20,000, like it really should be. But 50,000 I think is a really big milestone. So there's going to be a big thank you from me, and that's basically what I can do for you at 50,000. 100,000, I don't know what I'll do, but maybe I'll make a new one and then go from there. Rich says, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Rich. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Is there some cases that you made a mistake in recital? Yes. If you did, do you think that it's that obvious? Some of the songs, it's because I know the song, though. And I practice it a lot, so I do know. You can tell, not so, in Serenade of the Doll, that was pretty solid performance on that one. There's maybe like one or two tiny sections where I thought I could have done better, a little bit better, but overall it's pretty solid. There are some points in the recital where the melody kind of gets hidden, like you can just hear that I'm playing the chords too loud, and those are usually the sections that I'm not quite as good at. And so yeah, there are definitely mistakes that I've made. You'll never get everything 100%, that's for sure. Even if you're practicing, I was probably practicing 4 to 6 hours a day at that time. Maybe even up to 8, maybe even like leading up to it, up to 8. But I was practicing a lot at that time, and I still didn't have them all worked out. Was this recital for music school? Yes. So this was my senior recital. This was like one of the last recitals I had. Well, that's not true, because I did have, I was invited to the keyboard honors recital about a week later, and only, I don't know, like 10, 12 students in the entire school got to play in that, like the best students. I don't know why they picked me, but I don't know, maybe I should have more confidence in my piano playing, but I got picked to do that, so I did play in that about a week later. So that was my final recital in Westchester. This one was the one right before it, but this one was definitely my largest recital of them all. Since it's your senior recital, it's like pretty much a lot of things you've learned up to then. I mean, I did learn all these pieces in one semester. So it's not like it's songs that I learned the entire time, but it's supposed to be an accumulation of all the things that you've learned, not songs, but like all the concepts that you've learned all the way through. And so yeah, that is what it was from, my senior recital at Westchester. Good times. All right, thanks everybody. Was there an audience there? No applause at the break. There was an audience there. I think a lot of the audience clapping is cut out because they edited this together. Some of it is in there, and I'll show you when I show you the whole thing. So there are some clapping moments. Actually, a lot of the pieces I played, so the Serenade of the Doll is one of, I don't know, like 7 pieces in that grouping called the Children's Corner. I think that's what it's called, by Debussy. And so what would happen was I'd play that song, and I played a bunch of songs before it. I played a bunch of songs after it, and nobody claps in that because they wait until you're done the entire set for that. Thanks for the stream. Looking forward to Friday's stream. Good night, all. Thank you very much, Charles. Glad to have you as a newish member of our live stream. And anybody else that, whether you engage in our live stream or you just hung out in the background, you're always welcome back. Always glad to have you with us. And thanks again. So let's take a look here. Finn's songs for beginners. I have a lesson on that, but some songs I recommend for beginners just starting out are honestly learn nursery rhymes starting out. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Baa Baa Black Sheep, Itsy Bitsy Spider, things like that. It may seem juvenile, but if you're just first starting out for beginners, that's what I recommend you go for. Once you start to get a little more advanced, you can learn something maybe like the first part of Fur Elise, but that's probably not something you're going to be learning in your first month, to tell you the truth. I would stick with really easy stuff. What I would really do is I would, in terms of songs to play, I would get an adult, like a learning book. So if you look up, let me do this. This is like the last thing we'll do tonight, just to kind of answer this question here, since it's a good one. Okay, so you want to look up Alfred Adult Piano, All-in-One Piano. I've typed in a bunch already. You want to get this book right here, this pink one. And then I'll walk you through really easy songs. It'll have and it'll lead you up. By the end of the book, you'll be playing pretty good songs, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Have Yourself a Merry Christmas, and trying to think of some others. Not Maple Leaf Rag, but The Entertainer as well. So some good ones at the end there. Thanks for your live stream. It really helps me a lot. You're very welcome, Michiko. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Charles. Especially Charles for the super chat. That was very nice of him. Rich, thanks for coming. Rich has always been a great part of our live streams here. Glad to have him. XRS, thank you for coming. Fins, thank you for coming. And anybody else? I'm sorry if I missed your name, but I think... Oh, David, thanks for coming. And everybody else. Barbara, Panda Craft. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everybody. So, let me do this really quick. Ooh. So thanks, everybody. This has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. You know that already. And I'll check you out real soon for the next lesson. We're going to meet next Friday. We have another live stream on Wednesday morning, but definitely on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you definitely want to check that out. And you also want to check out pianolessonsontheweb.com to learn a lot more about piano music. So if you like what you see here on the channel, you're really going to like it over there on the website. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.